Welcome, folks. This right here, right now, is the joy of being a live stream. Covered up beautifully right over here. Lovely to see folks. Great to see you here as people begin to trickle in. As folks on the restream are watching this, thank you so much for joining us here on the restream. Welcome, folks. We have some good news. We're going to be meditating today. And because of that, I'm going to want folks to find that nice, comfortable position. I have half a mind to, I know that people usually trickle in a little late because they're like, the meditation starts after X, Y, and Z. So I sort of want to start it ahead of time just so that people roll in and are like, oh my God, I'm late. But that's okay. Oh, my poor pup. My pup, it's time for her to go for a walk, but she's going to have to wait an hour and a half. Is that terrible? Just because that's the nature of things. It happens sometimes. It's not the end of the world. She'll take a nap. So, folks, let's see. Oh, this is good. Since no one's here, I'm going to make this quick switch. I've got the overlay to work, finally. Where is this sucker? Oh, it's not done yet. I have the overlay with the correct lettering. Oh, there it is. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to drag that sucker in here. There we go. Watch this. The lettering should fix itself. Stop. Let's see if this actually works. Let's try this. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we have liftoff. We have lettering. Folks, very excited to see you here. This is a fascinating... Oh, wow, we have a very interesting little overlay. It comes in and out. Well, that's fine. Actually, it looks better than it did before with that little blink. So, folks, very excited to have you here. So we're going to be practicing for about 25 minutes. And in that time, you'll become a different person, a different Persian. Nick says, welcome, hi, from non-comfy but meditation-friendly office here in Gothenburg, Sweden. Looking good. Yeah, well, thank you so much. It's great to have you here. It's nice to have this little Sweden connection. We got to find out more about your Swedish culture so we can have a little more clear and present exchange on what's happening between here and there. But for now, find a nice, comfortable position. And we're going to be continuing our equanimity theme, which is quite a delight, and having a little fun. So find that nice, comfortable position. I'm going to encourage folks to maintain their position for the rest of this sit without moving. Our government says we have no culture. Well, you know, people used to say that about America, and then they sort of zoomed out and were like, wait, what about jazz and, appropriation culture? So, yeah, I feel you. Okay, folks, so when you're ready, finding that nice, comfortable position. Allowing the eyes to gently close. And we'll begin. Actually, okay. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths. Just feeling the body rise and fall. allowing the eyes to close, or if we'd like to, allow the eyes to rest on a single point. Sweeping through the body to be sure we're not holding any undue tension. Starting at the top of the head, relax the brow. Relax the muscles behind the eyes. Allow the face to go smooth, letting it fall into gravity. Relax the back of the tongue. Let the jaw go slack. No need to hold it closed. Relaxing the neck and the shoulders. The upper arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, and tuning into the rich tapestry of sensations in the palms of the hands and tips of the fingers. Not controlling the breath, just noticing any tightening and relaxing of the upper chest and upper back as the breath comes and goes. Relaxing the belly and the lower back. Relaxing the hips and the upper legs. The knees and calves. The ankles, and relaxing the feet. And tuning into relaxation throughout the entire body. Being aware of all of these sensations together. Letting the sensations of the breath be known. Not collapsing around them. We might even find that we can feel the sensations of the breath, maybe at the tip of the nose, or the sensations that occur in the abdomen, wherever we tend to observe the breath. But noticing those particular sensations spread out over the entire body. Awareness doesn't distinguish, doesn't care where we feel the sensation. So knowing that it's possible to feel even local sensations in a large space. As though the sensations of the tip of the nose or wherever we observe the breath are spread out like a mist, allowing us to know them and to connect with awareness. And at this stage, we know ourselves well enough, finding which balance of attention and awareness would be most likely to help us maintain continuous awareness, continuous consciousness of the present moment. Sometimes we feel we need to add more doing in order to keep ourselves continuously aware. It's often not the case. Sometimes we can let go of doing just in the right formation. Now making a slight shift, letting go of the breath practice, becoming aware of the experience of self. Whatever self is arising at this moment. Simply that part of our experiencing that we associate with I, me. Often the body-mind is simply tagging a set of sensations as self, often located at the central line of the body, sometimes in the chest, sometimes behind the eyes. Just getting an overall picture of the experience of self. Noticing that when we consciously or unconsciously identify with this self, when it feels like us, me, we may notice a subtle craving. Just this self wanting this reality to be slightly different. Perhaps to move the body, perhaps waiting for the next moment to appear. And then moving to awareness, wide and spacious, including all sensation. Those that are experienced as self and everything else. Noticing that awareness, by its nature, doesn't need anything to be different. Awareness is simply aware. So exploring these two possibilities, we may fall into an awareness that doesn't need anything to be different, or we may fall into a self that is subtly wanting, subtly trying to grasp the present moment. A very subtle need to know or possess the experience. And the key is when we find ourselves identifying, to recognize that this wanting, this craving, is okay. Not needing that to be any different. Observing that this system sometimes wants. sometimes pushes or pulls. And we may find that allowing the self to self, to move through the selfing process, nudges us back into awareness. The simple knowing of this experience. So simply exploring the self that doesn't need anything to be different. The aware self. And our usual self that may need things to be different. When we have contact with that more common experience of self, recognizing that that craving, that aversion doesn't need to be different. That it's okay that the system craves. If we'd like to use labels, when we find we identify with the self, we can simply call that craving or wanting. When we're experiencing from awareness, we can simply use the label, that's okay, or even okay. If we don't notice a lot of craving in the selfing experience, we can just call it selfing. If we can allow that experience to occur, we can use our awareness label or simply observe. Knowing that that's okay. And staying with the practice, staying in stillness, allowing a tiny bit of light to enter the eyes, and eventually allowing the eyes to rest on one point as they fully open. Noticing the dance of self and awareness, the experience of feeling this as being okay or wanting something to be different. And letting this moment here with our eyes open be our teacher, showing us how to bring this equanimity, even to something that by its nature has a little less equanimity. And bringing this practice into every aspect of our life. Okay. So what was that like, folks? What occurred? And what on earth are you like now? Okay, I need to fix one thing here. Tomlin told me how to fix this yesterday, and I haven't done it yet. Okay. There we go. Fixed. Okay. Excellente. So, folks, what was that like? What happened? And what on earth are you like now? Love to hear how that was. Make any adjustments you need to allow the body to be comfortable. Welcome, folks, if you're just joining us. What we do now is we do a little Q&A. Oh, I can use my defunct Q&A image. Oh, it didn't work. I have a cute Q&A image here that pops up, but that's for later date. Should we do the ESM? What is it? EMSR? The not EMDR, ASMR. I'll just whisper to you. Is that fun or terrifying? It's terrifying to me. It's free real estate. So, folks. Yeah, what happened? What was your practice like? If you'd like to join us in the Discord voice group, we can do that. Let's see, let me make sure I'm in place here. Let's see. Okay. Okay. We have an interesting question here that says, here in the Discord, it's a private message, but I think it's okay as long as I don't say who was the person who asked the question. Let's see, before we jump to that, Nick says, concentration was actually decent today. Nice to hear. But this stuff about selfing, etc. is way too interesting for this system. Way too interesting. Immediately going into rampant philosophizing. Yeah, well, just to, observe that, know that the system might be philosophizing. I think in that moment is to check out, is that being driven from, is the position that you're observing that from a self? And is that experience of self something that is you're observing from awareness, or is it something that is more kind of identified in that position? That would be a way to go. And you can do that now. I mean, your best bet is not to wait till you're formally practicing again. Your best bet is right now to notice, is the experience of watching this or interacting this way, does that feel like it's a self observing, or does it feel like it's mixing between the awareness and self, or does it feel like it's just hanging out in awareness? And you can check that out now. Let's see here. Climp, climp, climp. Okay, so we have a good question here, interesting question here from the Discord. If people don't know, we have a questions for stream section. If you have any questions, you can throw them on there. So this question is, I wonder what the sensory components of nama and rupa are that make up intention. This is a great question. It seems like there is a feel-in, kind of propelling forward, moving forward, and a subtle image. But they all happen super fast in daily activity. Okay, so this is a great question. Actually, my friend and I, Deb, who were talking about this recently, friend, student, I don't want to overstep any bounds, but I think we're friendly at this point. We were talking exactly about this, and we were talking about how, and I'll explain what Namarupa is in case anyone doesn't know, but I'll do that in a moment. We were talking about how you can feel preparation energy in the body, and we've done exercises before where you relax the body physically, and then imagine you're about to move your left arm to touch your right earlobe. It's going to move any second. You're going to do it quickly and then bring it back, but you're keeping the body very relaxed. And then you don't move anything, and you just compare the sensations of the left arm and the right arm. And often what you'll notice is that the left arm feels much more active, or at least that the right arm feels much more neutral. And that's just preparation energy. It's actually what, sort of charges up the body so we can, jump into action at any given point. And so this question arose, is an intention a combination of preparation energy in the body and an image, or is the, what actually makes up the sort of sensory experience of an intention? And, it's to some degree theorizing, because some of what's happening is below the floor of consciousness, so we can only, sort of spread our awareness there, but we can't necessarily see details, but we can draw inferences. So my theory at that moment was that intentions are probably some constellation of exactly what you're describing, see, hear, feel, that are often below the level of consciousness that shape, in a sense, it's like the mind creates a shape that is my arms like this, in some weird way. And that shape is then transposed into some physical action, and the arms sort of show up in that position or something like that position. So there's a subtle sort of formulation of emotions, thing that we're pulled towards or away from, mental image, mental audio that throws up this shape, and we call that an intention. Things will be like X in the future, in the near future, that kind of thing. So that would be my guess, kind of exactly what you described, that there's a sort of arrangement of see, hear, feel, in. I wouldn't say I would know which one comes first. I would be tempted to say that see, in comes first, but I don't think that's probably accurate. I'm sure feel in can actually drive the boat, or hear in the same way. And it is exactly completely subtle, but we want to remember that, we have several parts of the mind, but we've been exploring two specific parts. One is attention, which is able to zoom in and notice little details. And we tend to associate that with our mind and often with ourselves. I'm sort of dissecting little pieces. You can look at one little tiny point and stay with that tiny point and absorb yourself so much that it feels like everything else disappears. But there's also this awareness that doesn't care about edges. And actually, one of its qualities is that it's spacious. And it actually is more spacious than we can detect. It's sort of like this spacious, fluffy cloud. And we can only sort of have conscious access to parts of it. And yet it seems like it is bigger than that, the part that we can have access to. So awareness can actually dip into our unconscious sort of sensing outside of what we can know or bring to the foreground. So part of what it is opening awareness enough and letting our intuition show us, okay, it seems like this is the case. It seems like this is what's occurring, even if we can't see it in fine-grained detail. And over time, what we start to be able to hone, the skill we start to be able to develop, is the ability to know what's occurring in awareness without seeing it directly in a direct way that we're used to seeing. So that would be the general breakdown of what I would say. If we ask, is it nama or rupa, and we're broadly referring to nama as the organizing quality of the mind and rupa as a sort of raw sense data before it's organized. How does it fit into that scheme? Well, it's sort of not quite organized. It's sort of a general sort of shape that's more organized than not. It's more organized than nothing at all. But you might know this experience where you see someone and you're like, oh my God, I was just thinking of that person yesterday. And it's, or just recently. And it's like, yeah, of course you were. The mind is cycling through every person we've ever met, over the course of a week. It's flashed at some point, some little piece of this person, and then you see them and you're like, oh my God, and the mind makes the connection. So is it formed? Meaning, is it like a hard, solid picture and we're thinking about them for an hour and really getting into the detail? Or is it just sort of slightly formed, slightly in the shape of this person, or maybe in the shape of 5 people that remind us of this person? Then we see this one person and the mind shrinks back to this, memory and says, oh, I was just thinking of that person. Is it more or less formed? Again, we want to see nama and rupa, the naming quality or the organizing principle of the mind, and the disorganized data. We want to see those as a spectrum. We want to see those as sort of moving along a spectrum of less organized to more organized. And that's basically where I'd put that, is somewhere on the spectrum, a little bit closer towards rupa than we are used to. So that's just how I'd pop that one in. Actua, welcome. Good to see you. FYI, tech report. Last few months, I've tried to make comments on the playback. Oh, yes, I know what the answer, on Twitch, and it, but not accepted with messages like error occurred. They've canceled the ability to leave comments on playbacks. It no longer exists. Don't know why, but that is 100% what they did. You cannot make comments on playbacks, which is a bummer, because I would read the comments from the playbacks and then, when I can, get back to people and say, hey, that's a great question, address that later. So what we've done is switched. So just so you know, the playbacks are played on our second YouTube channel, Tomalin. If you are there it'd be great if you can throw that link up for our second YouTube channel. The name is pretty crummy right now, but we're going to switch that name soon. I can check right now to see if we already have the prerequisites, because we're sign into a different channel. Okay. Yeah, no, it's not fixed yet. Okay, so yes, so we are, that's what we are observing. That's the general shape of things. If you go to this, this channel, it has all the playbacks. You can leave comments on those videos. So just so you know, so it's our second YouTube channel that has all of our long form stuff, has all of the playbacks for the live streams. It's actually where the live streams occur on YouTube. They occur live there. And okay, there's our second YouTube channel. We're trying to get a better link, but we'll see. And you can leave comments there. You can also, what we're doing is, if you have a question in our Discord, which Tomlin linked above, I can link here again. Let's see. In our Discord, we have a section that says, what is it called? Questions for chat. Questions for stream. So feel free to throw any questions in there, and that way we'll be able to answer those on stream like we just did with this other question. Hopefully that's a helpful workaround, but they no longer allow you to do comments on playbacks. Plus the playbacks only last a few days, and we're trying to be much better about naming the playbacks. So each time we do a stream, we're trying to name them accurately so that you know, you can actually go in and it just doesn't say the same name over and over again. It's actually labeled and you know what the meditation is and that kind of thing. So hopefully that's more helpful. That's a little bit better of an archive system. They'll stay there forever and they'll ideally be named correctly. If you ever watch a playback that didn't have a name and you realize what the practice is and what we talk about afterwards, please let us know, because we won't have time to watch all of them and figure out what the practice was. But if somebody tells us, we will rename it for all future people watching. So lovely. What else, folks? Anything else? Any other questions? How's practice growing? How's life going? What else is new? Okay, let's see. Nick says, if there's time, can you talk some more about how a regular sense of solid self is created, and why is this the default? Information craving self to dominate hard. Yeah. So let's see. And then Actua, which I think that's Bob, right? I believe. Naming sound is good. TA. Well, let me know what you mean by that, because I think that I'm not sure if you were referring to something else, but if it is something more complex, let me know. Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, let's see. Okay. So to answer your question, why is the self experience our default? Well, almost always when I look at things that are default or that tendencies of the body mind or tendencies of the physical body, I tend to just always refer back to evolution. I mean, I can send the question back to you, and maybe this is a better discussion point, but why would it be helpful for survival? This is always the question asked. Why would it be helpful for survival to have there be an experience of a self and an experience of a self that is continuous? For survival purposes, perhaps, but something went too far too far compared to the animals. They have a sense of physical space and not much psychology. And I think we would have to sort of parse out exactly what we mean by psychology, because psychology is a very broad sort of topic now. The thing is, you got to keep in mind that it's less about, the question is, I maybe asked this before, maybe you know my answer to this, but the question is why, what is the primary drive of our genes? What is it for? If you wage a guess, I'll let you know where that lands on my correct or incorrect spectrum. And although it's typically people give one answer, it's really close. So what is the reason that what is the primary drive of our genes? And let's see. Yeah, animals have a different psychology, and part of what we're doing is trying to allow the selfing process to be there, to know that it's there, to have all the advantages of a self, to have all the wonderful ambitions and desires and interests without them being completely controlling of us, without them sort of completely shaping the way we relate to the world. Okay, so I haven't heard a response. I'm going to assume that there's either a delay or something, but okay. So typically, similar to what you said there, Nick, is that the primary drive of our genes is for survival. And that's actually not true. It's close, but it is not true. The primary drive of our genes is to pass genetic material onto another generation. That's the drive. Survival is actually just to serve that function. And so when we look at these things, we could say, why is having a self that is obsessed, that is, craving, that always wants more? How is that better for passing genetic material forward than one that is just like peaceful and is just sort of all-knowing, is like, actually, this is fine. I don't need to find another place. I don't need to find more food. This is plenty. And why do I need to have children? Like we can start to see, oh, wait a minute. If the drive is to procreate and to pass genetic material forward, craving and desire and wanting to expand and wanting to be the, the most important person in the group, or all these drives that we have that really sort of mess us up in the world are actually really excellent for passing genetic material forward. However, that's not my personal goal at this moment. So that's kind of, that's the general shape of things. So Actua says, sorry, I meant the naming videos. Oh, the naming videos idea is good. Okay, great. Oh, thanks. TA is short for thanks. Oh, that's nice to do. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we're trying to name the videos, and it's been a long time coming. It's just, this is part of the premise of this stream is like, Jeff Warren has his Do Nothing podcast. I don't know if folks know Jeff Warren, but he basically like turns on the camera and he's like, hey, everybody, like we're here. And so I try to, glitz it up a little bit, have it be a little fun. We can see people's comments, and, we got a nice animated background. That's pretty new. And it takes forever to do. And this part of the premise with this live stream is I can sit down, I can turn it on, it sort of functions on its own, and we're good. Secret, it doesn't really work like that. And what we found is that it's a lot of work. And every little detail, every little tweak, like if you were here yesterday, the animation worked, but it covered up the lettering. Okay, well, we have to re-render, like all this little silly things that, each little thing takes a little thing. So we've been trying to do that for a long time. We're doing that now. We're very happy, and if folks end up watching old, playbacks, and you know what practice is there, we would love to hear from you. We'd love to hear that. Okay, so folks, without any further questions, if folks don't have any further reports or questions, what I'm going to do is actually jump off, take my dog for a walk. It's been very patient, a little couple minor whines here and there, but that's the case. Pro tip. Typically we have Raquel here this Friday. We can't have Raquel because she's writing her thesis, her PhD dissertation. She was going to take a year and a half to do it, but her advisor said, "Oh no, I guess you didn't know that I'm leaving. You have 2 months to give your proposal." So she's going crazy right now. I mean, dissertations are no joke, and she's really, really pounding it out. So, all hugs to her. So the fact is that she cannot be here tomorrow, but we're going to see if we can get another guest, someone fun to chit-chat with, and then we will go from there. So folks, thank you so much for joining. Oh, while we have a couple of people we haven't seen in a little while, what we're going to do is people who've been here for a while, who are sort of long-term supporters, this kind of thing, we're going to have a Zoom available that you can pop in on, and so it'll be a little bit more personal. We'll have like kind of the Brady Bunch style thing. We can punch back and forth and say hello to this person or that person, and it's a little more, us talking, and then other people can comment and that kind of thing. But I think it'll feel a little more familial. It'll feel a little more kind of hangout-ish, and less like talking head, me talking at you and reading stuff. So I think that'll be a nice switch up, and we're planning on leaning in that direction soon. Our 10th technical problem. Am I a joke to you? No, Tomalin, you are not a joke. Your stream is Your help is amazing, and we really appreciate all of your help. So, folks, one other note here: Nick has been that's the person you hear known as Merck Goff. Goffe? Is that what you said? Goffe? Nick Goffe. Where's my hand here? Okay, here it is. So, has been our supporter here, has been subscribed to this channel longer than anyone else. So he is our co-host here. He's had the nice duty of holding down the fort. If anyone else subscribes, you become the co-host immediately, and that's how we do it. That's how we're going to do it for now. So if you'd like to be here, be our co-host, support the channel, we'd love that. But of course, we want you here more than we want any kind of symbolic support. So thank you so much for joining, folks. I'm going to put on this outro music, and let's see. I'm still here talking. Folks, it's great to see you here. Very happy you were able to join us, as always. Thanks for your practice. Thanks for your effort. Thanks for your time. Very delightful to be here. Very delightful for us to hang out and experience the unfolding magic of our sensory universe, the expanding and contracting of our